We're good.
Yeah, you're good. We already started.
Oh, we're going. Okay. So sounds like the question was, will buying a rental now hinder buying a nice house later? So we just figured we'd go over it in a video versus typing out a spreadsheet or something. It'd just be more complicated that way.
And that's boring. So, yeah. So I guess it all just kind of, like I said, it depends. That was our big note from all this.
This is the short answer to everything.
Yeah.
We'll kind of break down a couple things, and we'll just kind of run you through like what we do and what our goals are, and then I think that'll maybe help you decide better of kind of where you stand or what you're thinking.
Right.
I'll let you talk now.
Alrighty. So I guess we'll start with, like we said, one is a nice home purchase. There's some options for that, obviously, that depend on these two questions right here. As far as what are your investing goals, like if you're investing to get to a nice house, your best option I think would probably to go with like buy a duplex now. You think, right? And then live in one side, and let's say your mortgage is $1,200 or something. You know, then you can save what, 14 grand a year.
Yep.
And then you could use that towards your nice house. You do that for 3-4 years. But if you're kind of looking more of what we want to do, which is gets into like this the bigger side of investing, I guess that's a little different then.
Yeah, I think the main thing is, so like when you say nice house, I don't know if nice if you mean like $500,000 or if you're talking 250 or like $1 million. You know, I don't know. And if it's all, yeah, exactly, it depends. It also comes down to like if you're, you know, your nice house, we'll say nice because like I said, I don't know what nice is to you exactly, but if that's in the next 6 months or 12 months, well, buying something now probably is not like, doesn't make the most sense because your debt to income is going to be different. You'll have a bunch of debt because you have a new property, and so that probably wouldn't make sense. But if this is in 5 years, you know, then that opens up some options as far as what, you know, kind of what you can do as far as the investment side goes. So you mentioned the duplex, I think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get too off track here, trying to keep things in order.
Yeah, that's just kind of if you want to do the nice house sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I guess kind of as an example for us, like this part right here, like the nice house comes in, I don't know, what, 10, 15 years down the line.
Yeah.
Like it's just, we're more focused on our investing goals. We want to have, you know, lots of units and lots of, you know, passive income and assets and all that, which is basically a full-time job, which is like that's where we do that for a living.
Yeah, so that's our goal, is to turn investing into a business, which that's not for everybody, and that's fine and whatever. So, I mean, if you're not wanting to do that, there's other options. Like you said, you can go with a duplex or something where, yeah, if you can save 10, 12, 14 grand over the course of a year, do that for 3 years, then, you know, all of a sudden you've got
40 grand to put down on something or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. 40 grand plus whatever your savings were for the last 3-4 years, and all of a sudden it's like, well, shit, we can afford a pretty nice house more quickly.
Yeah.
That route.
Or you can do the other route, which is kind of what we're doing, which is, I mean, we're trying to add as many properties, like good properties, obviously, as we can, and then, you know, it's probably 30, like once they're all paid off in 30 years, whoops, it's like this nice house turns into something else. It's not like, you know, like the longer you wait and the more you own, the more assets you're going to have, and it gets more complicated. Like you can borrow against those assets to do different things, and that's just like the more serious side of investing. But if you just want, I think if you just want a nice house and I don't know, just maybe a little extra cash, this would probably be your best option long term.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, you know, like when it comes to us, like, you know, I'd rather live in not necessarily a dump, but, you know, a dump for the next until I'm 30 or whatever, and then go to something that's nicer than what nice is now.
Right.
You know, and that's like Jay says, and you build, you know, equity over time. You've got assets. Even if you bought one property a year for the next, you know, 5, 6, 7 years, and you've got 5, 6, or 7 properties, you know, if you have a good equity position on those, you know, you've got enough paid off of the mortgage on those, you turn around and sell 5 to 7 places once again, now you've got a huge, you know, down payment on,
or, I mean, you're even talking millions,
nice house.
like millions of dollars potentially, or whatever it is, so.
Yeah, I mean, if you buy something on, you know, 200,000 and do that 5 times, then you're at $1 million, depending on, you know, on what you've paid down.
Or you hold them and then they're all paid off in 20 years, and you bring in 15 grand passively without really doing much. I mean,
and when you look at, so certain lenders too, I mean, once you get rental income, there are certain lenders more commercial than like a residential, like you've talked with Derek. Derek can't do this, but a commercial lender can, where they can use a certain percentage of your rental income. What is it, like 75% or something? Kind of depends on the lender. So then all of a sudden, yeah, you know, you've got all this rental income too, where if you've spent 3 years buying property or 5 years, where now you can use that income that you're adding to your regular income you already have,
to get
which is more of a down payment
a nicer house.
on the nicer house. Yeah. But once again, that's more of a, a few years, regardless of what it is, what you want to do, it's going to be a few years, I think. So if you're thinking nice house, like less than 36 months, I would say at a bare minimum, like you probably just getting a duplex, save some money. You can get a duplex, it doesn't even cash flow, you'll still save money, and then you'll have a little bit of a, to help on a down payment on the nice house. But otherwise, I guess to go back to the root of the question, does it hinder you? It's not going to hinder you unless you make a ton of bad investments in a row, try to do things too quickly. There's a ton of good reasons to do it.
It'll hinder you depending on, like we said, when that is. If you buy a townhouse with 3.5% down, that's still going to hinder you in 5 years to buy a nice house because you're not going to make any money and you're not going to pay down that much either. So it could potentially hinder you.
Yeah, exactly. It goes back to, you can do that, and that makes sense if you're in it for like a long expanded period of time. If not, once again, if we're talking like three years or less, then it changes. So I think it just comes down to like weighing your options, what you want to do, like you said, what your investing goals are. If it's just a couple of units or a couple hundred, I think that makes a big difference. And I'd probably try and figure, these out, what your goals are and why you want to invest before you
hop into it.
Before you buy something.
Definitely gotta be kind of on the same page. If you guys are planning on doing it together, you definitely gotta know, like, if one person wants to own 100 units and one wants to own 4, it's going to be an issue at some point. So
and I mean, the thing is too, with 4, you can still over time, once again, you buy a $200,000 house, say you pay it off in 20 to 30 years, all of a sudden you're 30s, 40s, and if all 200,000 of those are paid off, they've probably appreciated. You're looking at least $1 million in net worth just on those 4 properties. So there's a ton of options. At the end of the day, we are investment heavy, so like, will it hinder you? Our short answer is no. Our short answer is no, but it comes down to it depends. It really does depend. If you ask me, like, off the cuff, and I had a one-word answer, it's no. But there's a slew of shit that goes into that.
It's a slippery slope if you get into it, but it just depends. Sorry if that didn't help, but I hope it did at some rate.
I think that, it covers it. Try to keep it as simple as possible and keep this video short so you're not like Jesus just scrolling through the bottom and moving it on. But
that's about it.
If you have any further questions, I guess hit us up, but we'll talk more.